Ayo, what's outside is within. The mind regulates the hand that masters the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword, but the tongue is mightier still. The stargate to the mind's revealed, the vortex. Peace and blessings anyway, guys, for those that are there and can see. It's another episode of Real Talk with Kevin, and today we decided to talk about parenting. And what was that extra piece? Parenting in today's
modern society.
That's right. So yeah, we're both parents, and I know we both have interesting point of views of what we think and feel about parenting. So hopefully you guys can chime in too. Kev, what does even being a good parent mean in modern, well, today's world, and how has that definition changed, or has it changed too much?
Good parenting, boy, I think that's very subjective. You know, what you got to understand is that everyone's household's different.
Yeah.
You know, while some are filled with love, kindness, and empathy, some households are filled with fear and discipline. You know, some households are filled with abuse. So parenting for each individual is very different.
Yeah.
I think from my perspective, parenting, you know, a lot of it sometimes is based on how you were parented. You know, I think the new generation of parents have tried to break away from the old school parenting styles, especially in the black community, where you used to get, there's a word, licks. You used to get a lot of that when you was young, you know. So for me, my generation have sort of moved away from giving out harsh physical punishments, even though it's still they're contained in the psyche, maybe as backup for some people to use. But a lot of the people I know now, my generation, don't really put their hands on their children in the way that their parents used to put their hands on them.
Right.
So that's one aspect of things. I think another aspect of things is, how are you parenting? Are you parenting out of fear? Are you parenting out of love? Are you parenting out of a mixture of both of them? And is your parenting style dictated by being a single parent, whether man or woman? Is it underpinned by disdain or upsetness about the partner that left? Is there overcompensation towards that child in the way that you spoil them because the dad or the mum's missing? So there's a lot of varied aspects to parenting that we can't really exhaust in this podcast, but it is a complex situation, to say the least, and probably, in my mind, the hardest job you'd ever have in life. You know, I think out of all the things that, you know, everyone overcomes adversity in their own way, and the adversity I've overcome over time, some of it's been difficult, but no more difficult than having to parent your children.
You mentioned there about being like, I'm just trying to grab certain things that you say, like, you know, that about being a single parent. What sort of ramifications could being a single parent have?
I think having my own experience in that, just me and my mum, one of the main things for me was social skills, the lack of it, the lack of being able, the main thing for me, being able to deal with conflict in a way where there's some resolve. So I'm very cut off, I think, over the years, becoming a therapist, going into therapy and interacting with my friends on a certain level. I've sort of been able to manage that in a much better way, where before, if I had conflict with any of my friends, because I never had that interaction with brothers and sisters where you get into conflict and then repair it, get into conflict and repair it, I'd get into conflict and I'd cut you off.
Right.
So I think there's very, very valuable social skills that are learnt when you're in a more triadic family environment, or with an extension with your siblings. But when it's just you and your mum, or you and your dad, it's hard to learn any other level of social interaction. So that's quite hard work. I think with single parents as well, from my standpoint, in the old school days it was different.
Okay, get that sun out of my face.
Yeah, I think in the old school days it was different because there was a lack of connectivity. With social media now, you could be in the home alone with your parent, and you could still have interactions with other people. But I think there's an aspect of loneliness that comes with it. For the parent themselves, you're playing there's a dual role. If you're a single parent mum, playing daddy, looking after a boy, that's not easy. And looking after a girl's not easy because the dynamics can be quite hostile between two female entities in the home, especially when the child develops into into teenagehood. Those teenage years can be difficult with mum, but again with boys and their mums, and the need, maybe the unconscious need that craves masculine attention or masculine interaction, mum can't really give you that. It's hard. I've always said, even though I was brought up by my mum, it's hard to develop a young boy into a man being a female. So there can be the overcompensation from that parent as a consequence of the dad not being around. So you get involved in a situation where your child becomes more like your friend or your mate, and you spoil them, and the boundaries are strained.
I was going to ask you, a lot of people that are single parents, I've heard a lot of them saying, "Oh, I've done great on my own. I can do this myself. We don't need this part," or that part said we don't need that part. How integral is it to have the masculine and feminine in the household raising a child?
Like I said at the start, you can have both in the house, and the house could be dysfunctional as hell. But for the most part, there's a state of balance, and I think if you've got two children in the home, that's complemented by two parents in the home, and you both can, especially when the mum and dad are working well, that already provides you with a model of what a relationship can be like, what a good relationship can be like, and what good parenting can be like, and that will be passed on to you. But in the home, generally, with one parent, not generally, that's an overgeneralization. With a one-parent family, having no man around, especially as a boy, I gravitated to the streets. Unconsciously, I felt that I was looking for some masculine attention and masculine interaction to develop my masculine self. There's a tone that men have that boys respond to very well, and children in general. And it's sort of a bit strange sometimes because women do the main body of the work, and as a consequence of that, a lot of the time the dad sort of looked upon as one they can go to and have a fun time. While mum's the disciplinarian and the one that tells them to do things. But when parents are on the same page, and they might not be listening to mummy, especially when dad's voice is around and dad's around, that can create the situation where parenting is happening at its best, where it might go loose if there was not another parent around. That other parent, hopefully on the same page as the mum, can say, "Look, don't treat mum like that, and then afterwards say, "All right, okay." And plus the sort of, I see it in my son. Even though me and my younger children's mums broken up, when my children are with me and I talk in a masculine way, there is this response that's appropriate, and because me and the mum are on the same page, even though we're divided, it works well, the co-parenting.
Interesting, bro. And yeah, these aspects is not easy, because I find a lot of people feel that they've got the direction or the know-how, but then I just think certain situations just brings different reactions and different responses.
And you know, I think it's like this. There's a lot of people that I know that are parents, including myself. You know, they've got a lot of great authors out there that write books regarding parenting. Who's read them? Who reads them? Yeah.
To be honest.
I don't read them.
Yeah.
I've never read them. Yeah, apart from the literature that I read when I was in studying as a therapist that talked wholly about parenting, more the sort of dyadic relationship between mum and child, but also the triadic one with mum, dad and child. I didn't read anything about how to be a father or to parent. You know, it's like this not only the unconscious ability to parent, but also the sort of template and foundation you were given by your parent or parents. So your parenting skills are really based upon that more than anything else.
Question here: are parents today raising children, or are they managing expectations from society, schools, and social media?
I think there's a mixture of both. You know, there's parents nowadays have not got as much control over their children. The state seems to have.
I was about to say, sorry to cut you, I was about to say, with those three aspects, I think the control and the hold over children that the parents have got is even more smaller.
Yeah.
In the sense of, like, obviously, you know, the child spends more time with the schools.
Yeah.
But then now when you've got social media now, when they come back, they're just on that.
Yeah.
And then there's this less interaction. But anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so I think the state has got a lot of control over children. In some way, it's good in regards to safeguarding and looking out for children. But then, you know, you can have situations where you feel forced to send your child into school when they're sick because of the attendance. Yeah, or your child hurts themselves in school and they say, your child's all right, they're not coming home, and some parents want to pick up their child and come home. So you're in a sticky situation nowadays with the state and your ability to parent in the way you'd like to parent. So it can be quite for some parents quite a difficult prospect, wanting to do things with your child. It's like going on holiday. You know, you're going to get fined if you go at a certain time, but you can't afford to go at another time because it's too ridiculous. It's too mad. So, you know, there's a level of social control that goes on now that I know doesn't sit well with a lot of parents.
How can parents teach real-world empathy and self-worth in a world that's dominated by screens and filters?
Everything that you know, whether it's not putting correct boundaries or the appropriate boundaries in place, whether it's your communication style, whatever it is, whatever you're doing to enable your child to operate in the manner you want to, it has to be done from when they're young. You know, if you don't do it from when they're young and you have expectations later on of them tidying up the front room without being asked, them doing the ironing, them washing the dishes, them going down to the shop without complaint when you ask them to. If you have these expectations and you haven't done the groundwork early, you're going to be fighting a losing battle, and then you're going to be doing all the work yourself.
What does it really look like when you don't lay down those specific, those particular foundations of life skills? What does that look like if you don't do that?
So imagine now you've got a child that's on the tablet a lot. You're quite busy, you know. Might be both parents are quite busy at work. When you come in, you're tired. If mum's doing stuff and dad's doing stuff, you got your child on the tablet in a different virtual world. Now, at those teenage years, you'll see a significant change in your child. Once they hit secondary school and they come out of that primary, lovely, nice, happy environment, the social pressures are going to start to kick in. The issues regarding body image and just how other people see you, your self-esteem, your self-identity is in development now. But in a place where you're not wholly, but quite significantly influenced by peer pressure. So now you've got this child that's seemingly done most of what you used to ask, but on some occasion, if you haven't set the boundaries in place, and if mum and dad aren't on the same page all the time, or the child runs to dad sometimes to get allowed when mum's trying to impose the rules, if there's that sort of fractured state where both parents aren't on the same page, and the young person now starts getting influenced by their peers in regards to stuff that seems quite exciting, then you're going to have a hard time managing them, especially if the boundaries haven't been put in place, those specific boundaries. So what may happen, and I see it a lot with single parent families, because of the lack of, and those boundaries not being put in place for various reasons, because you're too busy, you're too tired, you're trying not to parent in the same way your mum and dad parented you because that was too harsh. And to a certain extent they've become like your sidekick, your friend, your confidant or whatever. When they start seeing that little Tariq or little whoever are allowed to stay out late, can talk to mummy or daddy in a certain way, operate not a bit dysfunctionally in school, yeah, you know, the child would like want to start adopting those sort of habits, and then you have that the boundaries haven't been set in place, and then you get this pushback at home when being asked, you ask your child to do something, it's grumbling and moaning. There's never a situation when they're going to do something off their own back for you. You can get into, you know, kids nowadays, they've got a lot of access to a lot of different information. Then what happens? You get into situation where you're getting into verbal conflict with your child, where they've got a voice, but they've actually got a level of intellect that supersedes yours sometimes, because they're reading everything and looking at things on social media. So now you're getting into verbal altercations with your child when you want them to do things for you.
I wanted to ask you a question. I'm going to ask a question, but I'm going to read some of the messages I see, or interaction I see going on there. Are we witnessing the first generation of where the technology is shaping the children more than parents are?
Of course, and parents are fighting a losing battle against that technology. And you know, it's like Dr. Frankenstein, yeah? You decide to create a monster, then the monster goes out killing, and then you get upset with the monster. So what do? You put your child in front of a screen, the child isn't, or in front of a PlayStation or whatever it is, the child isn't listening to you, then it's time to sanction them or punish them when you've created the monster. You know, so it can be very complex, the situation, but if you're not, you have to put yourself on the outside looking in. Really, that's hard to do when you're already on the inside, and things are not going that well for you. Because whether it's a breakdown in communication, whether it's the hormones starting up, whether it's peer influences, whether it's not having another family member at home, whether it's the mum or dad and you're on your own, or maybe you're both disconnected in the relationship at home. Maybe you're close to divorce and you're not even talking, but that child's sort of solitary in the house and they're on the tablet all the time or the phone all the time. There's a lot of different dimensions to what can be going on in a home where the parenting isn't, as Winnicott would say, good enough. You know, and that's really it. If you can provide good enough parenting, hopefully in the society where there's so many different influences, that child can go through in a good way, and your parenting won't be so hard.
Wise words there, bro. Aslam says, I brought my 3 sons up as a single father, youngest 34. My parents was always together. Salute to you, brother.
Yes, excellent stuff.
Yeah, because
that's not an easy job.
this is what I'm saying. It's hard, you know what I mean?
And
on
people
either front.
have got to understand that you can have one child that's hard work. Once you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., that job is a mind bender.
Yeah.
You know, and parenting for me induces a lot of fear. You're always worried about your child from primary, the first day they go into school. You're worried about them. The first day they start secondary, you're worried about them. When they leave school, you're worried about them. When they take the first bus by themselves, you're worried about them. You know, the first school trip, you're worried about them. There's not any given moment.
No rest.
You get a phone call from school straight away thinking, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they've done really well in school. Oh, thank God. Yeah, your heart's beating for no apparent reason because you've got this expectation. You know, there's a lot of fear in parenting as well.
Yeah. Intuitively Blessed says, I agree. It's hard as a woman raising a young man. They need more male influence.
Of course, you know, that was an experience of mine, finding my self-identity, self-esteem, and self-confidence as a boy growing into a man. I had no model for that in the home. I didn't have any uncles about, you know, so I gravitated to my friends, and a lot of my friends, it's not that they're a bit naughty, you know, but I think for me, when I was failing in school, what happens? You look to build your self-esteem through nonsense practices like drinking, smoking, fighting, etc. So that's what happened to me. But if I had a stable male figure in the home, maybe me and my dad might have been rolling, you know, just like how me and my son are. And as a consequence of having no father, I myself have fully invested in being a good father. Well, some other fathers might not. They might, because of, you know, the repeated cycle. They didn't have a father, so they're a bit lax with their children. But for me, it sort of worked in reverse.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a father, I was going to make sure that I was going to be a father that was always going to be around.
Yeah, real talk. Haslam says, so I hope I'm saying your name right. What about the single fathers like me? And this was the same gentleman that said that he's raising single fathers. So I hope you've already addressed that.
Yeah, but single fathers have got, you know, there's a stigma attached to single fathers. And single fathers, for me, you know, there's a natural organic connection with mothers and their children. Yeah, it's like regardless of the umbilical cord being cut,
it's still there.
It's still there. So there's a lot that single fathers have to deal with, you know. Depending on the situation, the kids mourn the loss of their mum, and I'm not saying in a death sense. If the mum's not around in any sense, yeah, as a father, you have to deal with picking up the pieces of their psyche, however it's playing out in the home, and making them feel comfortable and giving them that nurturing that mummy would give them. It's hard work for a man, you know. I think unconsciously as a man, you have expectations of not doing that job as a single parent. So you've got to fight against that. You've got to fight against whatever happened to the mum, the feelings of disdain about the mum not being there with you. While other agencies and educational institutions, etc., they take their hat off to you as a man, but they're watching you very closely, you know. There's always underlying stigma in regards to men. And it's quite strange because there'll be this thing like, I hope he's not abusing, say he's got daughters or whatever, you know. There's this real attention drawn to fathers. And on the other hand, there's this real applause, you know, this sort of applause going on for fathers that are bringing up their children on their own. So it's hard work. I mean, across the board it's hard work, but for men as well, I think there's skills that it seems like with women that come naturally sometimes that men have to sort of pick up along the way and sort of adapt to this situation in a different way to women. I'm not saying that all women are maternal in that way, but they're significantly more maternal than men are.
Yeah, yeah. Amar says, You ever thought about some of the studies that suggest a lack of impact on upbringing by parents compared to other factors?
A lack of. Say that again, Nev.
Have you ever thought about some of the studies that suggest a lack of impact on upbringing by parents compared to other factors?
I wonder if you can elaborate on those other factors.
Yeah, Marv, if you could just just give us a bit more insight into that. Oh, so he says like pairs and epigenetics.
Oh, well, looking at genetics.
Yeah, epigenetics.
Epigenetic studies. Yeah, I mean, it's like looking at things like polyvariation. So, you know that in your environment, it's like twin studies. Yeah, you can have, and parents could pull their hair out because you can have two children in the home in the same environment, but they come out completely different. Yeah. Because the environmental observation is subjective. Yeah. Everyone's experience is subjective in the home. So regardless of the parenting styles and the environment being the same in the home for both children, how children respond and react in the same environment is completely different, you know. And that may be because, all right, you've got 50% of your mum's genes and 50% of your dad's genes. But how you perceive what's going on around you is completely different. So you might have a lawyer and you might have a criminal entity, even though they've been brought up in the same household. So parenting's one thing. There are other factors, like what's his name said, sorry, I've forgotten your name. There are other factors that contribute.
I think it was Amar.
Yeah, Amar. There's other factors that are contributing factors to how, you know, people behave in the environment and in the home and outside of the home. You know, it even more so if you've been born at different times, because you may have had your prenatal experience may be different. Imagine now, because mums that have got appropriate nutrition develop better children in the sense that they might not have significant brain dysfunction or illness or whatever. But imagine you have a brother that's your first born is under good conditions and mum's healthy, but the second child's under not so good conditions, and the maternal prenatal intrauterine environment where the baby is not good because of drugs or stressors or whatever. Now that baby coming out will be different just because of the prenatal experience. So, you know, the firstborn child that was under good conditions inside the belly, you know, came out better. But the one in the prenatal state where it wasn't so good may come out different. And then, as a consequence of that, be behaving in a particular manner that's completely divergent to the older son, older sibling.
How can parents support a child emotionally when they are battling their own stresses, traumas, and mental health issues?
Sometimes they can't. You know, sometimes they can't. Sometimes they need a lot of support. I talk about impoverished areas quite a lot. Getting support in those areas isn't easy. So sometimes children are left to their own devices in some cases. I have known quite a few situations where the children have been looking after their parent.
Reversed, yeah.
And that has brought a lot of complications as well, because that parent isn't earning a lot of money because they're battling mental illness. The child's at school looking at other children get nice things or get the basics that they're not getting. So I've known children that have ended up on the streets trying to get money, not only to look after themselves and satisfy their needs as a young person, but also provide something in the home for their parent. You know, so it can be really difficult, really difficult. I never take for granted in family situations how arduous and how deep-rootingly hard it can be for parents to manage their children and for children to manage their parents sometimes. Because there are some parents out there that are like children.
How would you say, how important is keeping a balanced mental health, if you want to call that, just in your normal everyday life and a sense of functioning, raising a family and all of that? How important is that to create your own time of well-being and stuff?
Look, as a parent, you've got to find the stresses nowadays, financially, socially, in all different aspects, are immense. So you've got to deal with financial pressures, you've got to deal with relationship pressures, you've got to deal with stuff like bereavement. You know, you've got to deal with, like, this is minimal, but it has an effect. You're driving, your car breaks down. It's messed up your whole day, your whole week. It's messing about with your ability to go to work. You know, there's little things that go on in life. There's information that friends tell you about things that happen or something that someone said about you or whatever, or in the workplace. And at every given moment, there's something that feels like it's an attack on you. So you looking after your mental health, because if you don't properly, what's projected outwards and who's it projected to? Usually it'll be projected to the people closest to you, maybe your husband, your wife, or your children, and that has an impact on them. So you have to, you know, whether it's always advocate doing things that positively influence you. So reading good books, if you're watching TV, looking at good programs, exercising, eating good food and looking after your health. Like, there has to be things that you enjoy and not drug taking, because some people say, yeah, I'll smoke a spliff or do whatever. No, you might do that. Yeah, that might be the one vice you have to calm you down, or have a glass of wine in the night or whatever. And if that works for you, that works for you. But ultimately, it's about finding something, or even going away on the weekend or once a month or whatever, with your partner, or if you're a single parent on your own, going to a spa and doing something to relax, doing some meditation at the end of the night. YouTube have got all kinds of clips and stuff. But it's just about finding something that enables you to go and feel all right, because usually parents can be like this every day. And a build up of that over time. People don't understand how much it's affecting their insides.
Struggling, yeah.
You know, and I've known on more than one occasion of parents dropping down from heart attack because of the stresses of society and the stresses in the home.
How can we help parents break generational cycles, especially when they weren't given the right examples themselves?
It's like drug addiction. Those parents need to want to do that. There has to be a recognition that something needs to be broken. Before that time, people, it's so normalised and it's such an intrinsic part of their being. They're not going to listen to anyone. You know, I know parents now that talk about, still talk about giving kids beatings. You know, like, we're not in 2025 and there isn't safeguarding issues and sin meetings and child protection conferences. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? Like, come on now, you should wake up. But, sorry, what was the question again there?
I was just saying, how can we help parents break down generational cycles, especially when they weren't given the right examples?
Yeah, so first they have to acknowledge it. Firstly, that's the first point of call. Well, once they acknowledge it, you know, there are parenting classes. Some people are embarrassed to go to them. But if you want their help and you need to break it down for yourself, for the betterment of yourself and your children or child or children, go to some parenting classes. There's a lot of things online giving advice about how to do things differently. You know, but once you've got it in yourself, you need some change. That's a great starting point.
You know what, I've always had this saying that, you know, being vulnerable is where the pot of gold lies. Now, that's easy saying it, because to try and be vulnerable in certain situations, a lot of people shy away from that because we build up these walls to help protect us, right?
Yeah.
So this is something. Well, going back to what we were saying earlier on, how important is that aspect of mental health and giving yourself a balanced mental health. Sorry, and going forward from there, would you say that those things are very important to have the space to have to be self-reflective and to give yourself that well-being
space? Yeah. It's weird because in the black community we've got this thing, and I don't want to talk about slavery and parenting, but black women, I can do it on my own. There's this real, I don't need a man sometimes. There's this mentality, not in all black women, because I know I get shot down, not in all black women, but there is, It's sort of a resilience and drive that, all right, if things fall apart, because women may have seen it over time, whether in with their own parent or whatever, with their own parents, etc. But they'll see it and they've heard about it, they know about it with friends, etc. So if it happens with me, I don't care. I'll look after my child on my own, and there's that element of it. And there's, with some men, what they've seen, I think with black men sometimes, this real disregard as well, like, all right, I'll go off and do my own thing, and it doesn't matter, because I've seen blah blah and blah blah leave the home and their family seems all right. It's not a conscious thought, but unconsciously there's a lot of drives going on, so it can get really messy.
Yep, definitely. Has discipline become taboo, and if so, what's replacing it?
Oh man, discipline. The discipline, it's funny that like when I think about discipline from old school black people, they're actually taking the mickey. Yeah, the discipline I used to get at home from my mum come in all different shapes and sizes. From the screw down look that you knew there was problems, to the licks, to the no talking. Different elements that were tense. Very intense. Especially when it come to licks, there was no holds barred. When it came to giving out licks, and I know people like, and I know I wouldn't mind like Dr. Mark Prince, if he read his book, The Prince of Peace, the arduous and detrimental level of violence that him and his sister and brother suffered in the home was mad, and there were extremes in my home, but not like that. But I knew a lot of people that were subject to the belt, the broomstick, the coat hanger, the wire off the vacuum cleaner, whatever was at hand.
Sorry, to stop there. When I'm hearing you say these things, like I got licks, but I never got it to no extreme where like I'm hearing most people. But when I'm hearing that from you, where is that coming from, bro? Because when I think about it like this, I can't tell you to think. I'm thinking about it. When it comes to if my daughter's a certain way, the first thing I don't say is, right, wear the belt there, or wear it, like, that to me is wild, bruv. You're saying to all of these tools, it's not even just like you're just saying like it's just a clap with your hand. You're reaching for an extension to lay down the law. Where's that coming from, would you say?
That's why Tom Burrell's book Brainwash is so deep, man. Dr. Joy Dugray's Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, such a deep book, man, because those practices from us being victims, our ancestors being victims through the whip, etc., that was passed down to keep, we were kept in line, so we'll keep our children in line in the same way. And because we learnt that was the way to be kept in line, we adapted that, but also we used it so as a tool of safety for the kids on the plantation. So if, say my son little Neville run off, and I knew the slave master might roll up on him and do something weird to him, to make sure he don't run off again the next. But I learnt that from the slave master. That's how you keep people in line. So there's a long timeline of adapted behaviours from colonial time that black people have still got now. And for me, harsh punishments was at the forefront of those practices, and that's why for me as a parent, when my big daughter was naughty once, I done that in her head, yeah. And my son, when he was young and he was kicking the car seat when he was in a chair, I gave him on his legs and he kept on kicking. I said, like, you know, because licks and beatings never done anything for me. Yeah, it didn't work. I got invariably worse. I actually decided not to come home. So what? I'm 14, 15, 14, coming home in my school uniform at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning with my school bag. Because at least there was a small window of opportunity about an hour before my mum went to work at 6 o'clock, left for work, for me to get a little bit of licks before, because she was getting ready for work. So I know I can get a little bit, but she has to get ready.
Yeah, you got, yeah, it's your escape plan.
Yeah. So I already had it planned. Don't come home. I know it's going to get rough, but it's not like me coming home or whatever after school and me being in the house with my mum. You know, so ain't easy, you know. That's why a lot of parents my generation have gone too soft as well. They've gone too soft and they've left the real parenting too late when they thought, all right, I'm not going to be like how my parents are. They didn't talk about nothing to me. My mum didn't talk to me about anything sociological, about friendships, about finances, about love, about death, you know, about the minute things that you need to know in life when mixing with people, and your self-development, about self-esteem. She didn't teach me about any history or black history. She didn't teach me about her history. You know, the only thing she taught me about was education. And if you didn't do that well, some licks as well. So, you know, parents nowadays have tried to do it different to that, but they've gone overboard, where they've created the situation like, all right, I'm not going to be like that. Our old school parents were emotionally cut off, yeah, a lot of them. So I'm going to be emotionally available, but I'm also going to be easygoing, unlike my parents. But from starting that and making it go on too long, the boundaries are too flexible, yeah. And because you haven't set certain things in place, with the boundaries being so flexible, when they get into their teenage years, they fracture those boundaries. They bust them into smithereens. And then you're wondering, oh my God, what's going on now? I've got a problem child. But it's not that your child's a problem. It's just that you haven't set the boundaries in place that they know how to adhere to. You know, so that's when real difficulties can set in. The overcompensation, I see it quite a lot, because in my old job I interacted with quite a few single parents, especially single mothers, that haven't had daddy around, but because of the lack of a father figure, they've tried to just go overboard with, all right, you're having the latest night trainers, you're having the latest iPhone, you're having this, you can stay up and play the PlayStation, and we're sort of friendly and it's all good. Yeah, but once you tell them to do something or tell them not to do something, turn off the PlayStation, problem. Come wash the dishes, problem. Get home from school on time, problem. Like, and that part of parenting and that timeline it continues for, it creates serious heartbreak and heartache. When you have a child that looks at you at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and when they see you, they're in awe of you. They've got their little Superman outfit on, or they're watching Peppa Pig and you're making jokes. And then in teenage years it gets to that. Like, I've had my heart crushed once with my big daughter. We were so close, and then when I broke up with the mum, things got strained. But this daughter that was, and people, you know, they talk to me about it now, like how close me and Booby were, and we've rekindled that. But there was a time when that was fractured, you know, and for me it created heartache, unbelievable heartache, you know. And there's a lot of parents out there that are struggling with that heartache on their own, you know, and having to do a large body of work when it comes to going to work, washing the dishes, washing the clothes, paying the bills, supplying them with things when it comes to Christmas, because everyone's on some capitalist nonsense. They don't want their child to not have what the next child's got, whether you're thinking about it consciously or unconsciously. So you're buying things what you can't really afford either.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when they're going into the next year, into the new year, you're paying back bills for the Christmas. You're paying off money for the Christmas, and then their birthday comes, and you're doing the same thing.
Constant debt.
It's constant.
I was going to ask you, I don't know, I think you kind of answered it. I was going to say, how can parents strike a balance between being a friend and being a guide? Well, I would... Go on.
Go.
I was going to say, as I'm reading it, for me, I'm not your friend.
Never.
Yeah, I'm not your friend. I'm like, don't get me wrong. There's, you know,
I'm friendly.
Yes, and I can have a joke with you. You know, I'm a big kid myself.
Yeah.
But I understand from my experience about my childhood with parenting and all of that stuff, that the guide, the father and the mother figure is so important. And once you don't have those, I believe that sometimes, like you were saying about, you know, when say like from my experience, my mum and dad split up when I was 11. So when my dad left now, that masculine, that male energy that I was looking for wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I was going in other places and searching for that subconsciously, and that could just bring a whole load of madness. And then I think when me and him was kind of getting into that times when we're talking with each other, and you know, I'm trying to tell him to be a father and all that sort of stuff. Like he just well, not even he, just like me, like my behaviours kind of just exploded in many areas which shouldn't. I say like more anger and all of that sort of stuff. So I think what I'm trying to say is I think that friendship sort of aspect isn't needed from people that are supposed to be playing parental figures, because the boundaries basically are needed.
Yeah.
And I wasn't receiving any boundaries. I was kind of making my own.
I think there's the odd parent out there that can develop relationships like that, and you're in awe when you see it. Yeah. But do you know what they went through to get to that point? You know what I mean? So, you know, because things are on a spectrum, you know, from really good parenting to really bad parenting.
Yeah.
From people that can establish friendships with their children and still parent and them come out all right, and people that can't do it. I mean, like you said, I tell my kids, you know, I love you lot, yeah, and I'm your dad. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you got, because there has to be a boundary. There has to be, in their minds, a level of seniority. Yeah. If it's like within school. Imagine there's no seniority in school. The kids aren't going to listen to the teachers.
That's right.
Yeah. In your workplace, if you don't have a boss and you don't identify your boss as a boss, what are you going to do in your workplace? So in the home, there has to be a boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the boss. Yeah. I'm not abusive. I'm loving. I'm kind. I'm caring. I think about your emotional needs. Yeah. But I am the boss, and the reason why I'm the boss, because I've lived your life already. I've been a youngster. I've made all the mistakes that I can make. And now you don't really have to make them, even though you're going to, because I'm going to give you the knowledge to try and navigate through your social space in a way where those hardships are reduced. You know, but it's funny with parenting and children. A lot of the time with children, and I know myself, you can give them all the information, but sometimes they don't see it as being true. You know, especially because they listen to their friends more than they listen to you a lot of the time.
That's right.
Yeah, so they will make the same mistakes and you'll be confused. Like, how come I told you about that? But sometimes you've got to have the real experience and go through it to understand, all right, I'm not going to do that again. You know, that sort of way.
Do children have too much voice and too little direction? I think we kind of touched on those sort of...
It's funny, in the Victorian era, yeah, there was a stage where they had children like adults, yeah. Weird that things come full circle, So now you've got young children that are seemingly sort of like adults as well sometimes. So, sorry, what did you say?
So do children have too much voice and too little direction?
I think some children have got too much voice because you have you haven't done the necessary things for them not to have too much voice. And that's why some parents will be flabbergasted when they say, yeah, I'm going to take you to social services for something really minute. You haven't even done nothing. You just haven't let them play with whatever, or haven't give them their favourite. You haven't bought a McDonald's or what something. I'm taking you to social services. So they've got a load of information nowadays, and some children have got too much voice in a negative way, but children are supposed to have a voice. You know, a lot of things have happened over time to children because they weren't allowed to speak up. Now I'm glad that children have got the ability to speak up, and certain abuses will be called out now as a consequence of it. When you're a child and you're silenced, it's a horrible thing. When I was a youngster in the family home with my mum, I was silenced. The authenticity, my authentic self, never came out until a lot later into adulthood, because I couldn't, you know, I was a full self rolling around, this sort of half criminal entity rolling around that couldn't be me because my mum never allowed me to have a voice in the home. A lot of parents have got to watch out for that. As much as you can, let your children be themselves. Yeah, all right. There's certain things you've got to manage. Yeah, but outside of that, let them be them. You know, because really, you know, for me as a parent, there's only 3 things I want from you. Parents may agree or disagree. I don't want you to get anyone pregnant early, or I don't want you to get pregnant early, yeah, because I know what comes with that. I don't want you to get in police trouble or get a criminal record, because I know what comes with that, and I know what road that can lead down. I want you to try your best in school and do well. That's it. Like, those are the only things, main things. There's always other little bits of things. I'll treat people like how you would want to be treated. For me, be kind, and whatever. Yeah, and look after yourself, be able to defend yourself. Those are other components. But the 3 main things, for me, that is it. You know, so parenting in a way where that's achievable in my children is what I move forward with, and I think as well my younger children's mum, we move forward co-parenting in that direction. So that is achieved, because your children are going to make mistakes, you know, and have an understanding of that. I still think to myself in my mind, because my 2 youngest ones, they haven't made any major mistakes yet. Yeah, and I keep on saying to them, you're going to make mistakes, but as long as they're not mistakes you can't come back from. Myself and your mother should have taught you enough. Yeah, but anything can happen in life. You know, we live with the unpredictability of what can come now, or what can come tomorrow, or what can come in a week's time. Yeah, and there are various things in society that have a serious impact on children or teenagers, young adults, whether it's a new girlfriend, whether it's an influx of money, whether it's loss of a job, whether it's failing in college. I mean, the pressures are immense across the board. But you can have a child that looks like it's going in a certain direction, up, and then all of a sudden they come down. And you can have a child that's been going down, and then suddenly they raise up. So there's a real unpredictability, and all you can do as a parent is do your best.
That's right. 2 questions for you, and then we can wrap up. Yeah. What are the long-term consequences when children grow up without boundaries?
Mate, they do whatever they want as adults, whether that's domestic abuse, criminal activities, becoming a drug addict, no respect for people, just really a wild sort of entity. Yeah, when you've got no boundaries to hold you in place, or you have some strange ideas as a lack of boundaries in your head of how you can be. You know, you're dealing with a person out there that's that you might not want to come across.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you've got no boundaries and you can do anything, and you know, I've had friends like that. I've had friends that have got no boundaries. But those friends, a few of them have been in and out of prison quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, carry on, bro. So these things is trying to make sure that.
Yeah, with no boundaries in any given situation, what happens? Chaos.
That's right. That's right. Last question for you, brother. If you could give one message to all parents trying to raise grounded, confident children in this modern world, what would it be?
Start early. Try not to make fear your driver. It's hard not to. Yeah. In a society where nowadays where there's so much going on, it's not easy not to have fear as the main component driving your parent in. Try not to let fear be your driver. Just mainly love, caring, and empathy. Think about how your parenting has an impact on your child later on and their parenting when they become adults, and what cycle are you trying to create? Good communication, those boundaries that have to be set in place, that make your child understand that the world outside is different to the world inside here. Yeah, we're providing you with safety, home, with love, etc. You know, there's just teachings about life as well. You know, it's hard to teach kids that life can be stressful in regards to bills, etc. Try and give them some worldly insight about what's going on in the world generally, how great the world is and how bad it can be, and your place in it if you do well. You know, you could give out so much advice to parents, but the main thing is trying to get those boundaries. Don't have your child as your friend. Be friendly, but don't have them as your friend. And if you've got a good network of people around you, that's great. But any of that network that's a bit dodgy, try not to have your children interact with them, because they'll look up to them, you know, on a regular basis. But you know, to all parents out there, it's the hardest job. I take off my hat to all parents that are trying their best by their children. And yeah, you know, so salute to you. Like,
yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Like, it's not easy, and you know, that's the reason why we have conversations like these, is because I find a lot of people think and feel about things, but they don't really talk about it. So, just trying to talk about it, and
we never even touched on the worst parts of, you know, we could talk about children dying out there, involved in gangs, involved in sexualized activities, involved in drugs early, but I don't think we really needed to touch on that, you know, because...
Not really, but we could do that on the next one. We could, because I think parenting, the subject about parenting is so broad, and there's so much that we could, there's so many pockets of it where you could go into. It can definitely be another conversation to bring up, and we can touch those areas there, and then just, you know, reflect it to the people watching, and then just see what they think about that, because I know a lot of people that's watching are parents. So it'll be good to hear what you think, and for you to give us your 2 pence or 5 pence, whatever pence it is, you get me? But anyway, that's another episode of Real Talk with Kevin.
Thank you.
And yeah, big up, salute. Until next time, people. Love.
Take care.
Hey yo, what's outside is within. The mind regulates the hand that masters the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword, but the tongue is mightier still. The stargate to the mind's revealed. The vortex.